Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 213. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Ian Reynolds, a partner and a chief solution architect at Zibtek, a software development firm focused on helping businesses of all sizes solve their core problems with software. Hello Ian.
Hello, great to be here.
Thank you for coming. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Sure. So my background is I sort of started my career in a number of startups, helped grow and launch a number of products to market, went and did the traditional MBA route, worked in consulting for a number of years, about half of a decade, had the opportunity to do some very large projects for the Fortune 500, also do transactional finance, and really enjoyed that. It was really sort of a wonderful way to open my career. Ultimately decided I want to get back to business ownership and found Zibtek, acquired half of Zibtek. Zibtek actually was an established business and had been growing for 8 or 9 years, so I acquired half of that, and we've been continuing to grow it since I arrived about 2 years ago.
What is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
I think to some degree, knowing or thinking that you know everything, 100% of everything, and that can be combined with not doing your diligence to make sure that you're going to You can figure things out. People have billions of neurons in the brain, but you really need to do a little bit of homework before you jump into any particular exercise. And I think in the world of software development, we have to do a lot of homework before we build some of these projects for our clients.
Why do you do what you do?
Well, as I said, I was within consulting. I really had the opportunity to go into these very large companies, shape projects, shape small pieces of the organization. They were often very critical, but I felt that I could have a greater impact for clients by leading the charge, so to speak, by being in charge of the operations for the company and helping firms really solve core business problems with software solutions as opposed to simply just consulting solutions.
Let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful?
Well, I think this is a great question. I think this is actually a really wonderful question. The success, I think, for a lot of people can be monetary. It can be, sort of your bank account and these things. I think it's been my experience working with other people and then also through friends and family that really success is a state of mind, and it's the type of success that you want to have in life, right? Spending time with your family, having a good work-life balance, doing something that is very fulfilling in your work. And I have all of those things. So I think the sort of natural business successes which are coming out of the work that we do are just sort of a natural part of life. If you are doing something you enjoy, where it's not really a job to go to work every day, then that's success, right? And then worry about the business success. If you're, sort of put that on the back burner, that'll come.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
No, that's a great question. I think certain people are more cut out for it than other people. I've had this discussion with a number of friends. I said, well, why don't you start your business? Why don't you start a business? And some people don't want the responsibility that comes with sort of being the last man standing, so to speak. And so there's some additional responsibility that comes with that, right? The buck stops with you. But if you look at the United States, say broadly, there's 30 million or so businesses, right? And most of those, 90% of those being small businesses. So almost 6 to 7% of the U.S. population is in some form or fashion a business owner. So I think a great swath of the country and likely the world that probably is homogeneous probably across markets, or folks who are cut out or want to be entrepreneurs. So there's an entrepreneurial spirit, at least in the U.S.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
I think one of the important things, I guess, kind of recent lessons is, really have fun. You have to enjoy what you do, but you can also never step into the same river twice, meaning the water's always kind of moving downhill, and you have to constantly be learning to really stay up to date in your field, and B, really kind of on top of what you need to know to be able to perform for your clients, especially in the software space. Every 2 to 3 years, there's not a tectonic shift, but there's a reasonably large shift in what is occurring in the marketplace that requires some additional research, additional knowledge, really to stay up to date with the current trends and technologies. Otherwise, you can very much fall behind.
Do you have a mentor in your business?
Within the business, no. I have my business partner. We don't have a formal board as such, as we're a privately held company. However, I think that the mentorship that I have gleaned in my studies and my work has actually been through book and other reading, right? So I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm getting to read these very large company case studies and what you would have in sort of the MD&A sections in formal 10Ks and these sorts of things. There's a tremendous amount of insight to be gained from reading sort of the greats in business. I mean, anywhere from reading from Rockefeller to Buffett, right? You can glean a tremendous amount of insight from people who have done very, very successful, very, very wonderful things. And so that's where I look for guidance and inspiration.
What is the most valuable thing or the insight have you got from all reading those big case studies?
I think probably the most important concept is, or has been, the concept of opportunity cost. So as a business, you have to be able to lay out all of the options in front of you and in a structured manner make a determination as to what is the lowest risk, highest reward option that you can take in terms of growth for your business. And the concept of opportunity cost really applies to smaller decisions as well. But for the really large decisions, if you're not laying out specific paths of growth for your business, understanding what that ROI and the literal capital investment is going to be for your business, it's really hard to make a clear decision, and it's really hard to make the best decision. So building that sort of, let's say, business plan where you have a year's journey ahead of you and then a 5 years journey ahead of you, and then making decisions based on how you're going to invest your time and your capital on that sort of opportunity cost decision is a really, really important concept, I think, that gets overlooked by a number of teams. People do this innately, but they don't do it overtly and expressly and deliberately.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
I think outside of we do some charitable contributions and sort of these things, I think it's my time. Time is one thing that you can't get back. You really only have a certain number of years on this earth, and you just can't get time back. And so donating time we're a service business is one of the most valuable things that we can do. And it also takes away from other activities that you would otherwise do. So be it time with your family, time with your friends, time relaxing. So time has been the most valuable thing that I think we've given away.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think my family. I have a family that very much recognizes that it's very noble to work hard, and it's a great opportunity. Not everyone has the opportunity to work as hard and sort of create opportunity for others. And so I think my family's understanding of that, and then kind of conveying and imparting that wisdom onto me has been tremendously helpful for my success. And then really my outlook. I think having the right outlook on the world has really been sort of a tremendous gift in that it has sort of given me the opportunity to also, when I'm working on client projects, take that sort of optimism, right, and apply it to client work that we do. Be it someone building a new application for the first time, I can take that world of optimism and apply it to our client's business, which is a lot of fun.
What is one of the most common software problems in businesses?
I'd say probably the most common software applications that most businesses are using. Probably there's accounting software, right? Accounting software is pretty ubiquitous. Increasingly, we're seeing a lot of sales automation software as being something that's ubiquitous. So something like Encore CRM or Encore Sales Automation Platform. You really kind of can't operate most businesses without some degree of bookkeeping, and then B, that sales automation software that lets you really talk to your customers on a consistent basis, keep track of your customers on a consistent basis and their buying, spending, and communication habits. Just going to be increasingly important to really going to be competitive going forward.
Where do you see the future for automation software?
Great question. I think automation software is going to continue to evolve. I think a lot of the market sort of talks about, AI this, AI that, whereas in reality, it's just linear algebra that is kind of doing some advanced math, I would say, but it's not truly doing the thinking, the creative thinking for the individual. So I think automation in the near term is going to remove a lot of the repetitive tasks that you have for a business. So let's talk about that Encore sales automation platform, for example. All of the client communication, those drip sequences of reaching out to clients and staying in touch with them, as well as the automation for, say, follow-ups or just general marketing communication can be automated in that software. Your inbound leads converting to your, let's say, to your website or your web application, converting into those drip sequences automatically can be done via Encore. And I think you're going to continue to see this digital marketing automation and things that play into the sales cycle. I don't know that automation is going to really reach that sort of, you talk on the phone, you tell Siri, hey, do my homework for me, or do this part of my business for me for many, many years. But I think that is where things are going eventually. But I think we're a long ways from that.
Tell us about economics and the global software development trends.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things that's really occurring is, unlike a physical product that gets, say, manufactured in China or India or the East, I don't have to ship that product around the world. There's no shipping cost. There's decreased manufacturing cost. And if you look at software development costs over the last 30 or 40 years, it has sort of precipitously decreased, right? You have things like, let's talk about e-commerce, right? You can stand up an e-commerce store very, very cheaply nowadays. You go to Shopify or one of these other tools, BigCommerce, et cetera, and you can stand up something for, $20, $30 a month. Whereas, 5, 10 years ago, that was not really the case. You had to do some development programming. You had to have more infrastructure set up. You had to, connect one of these e-commerce platforms to sort of this website. And the same is true for broader software development, much more complex software. There are component pieces that are now available that have been put out by the open source community and other communities that are allowing for rapid software development. And it is significantly reducing the cost to start a business. So the averages, say in the United States, I saw one piece of data that suggested that the average startup cost for a software company 2 years ago was something like $300,000 or $400,000. Today, it's anywhere from $120,000 to $200,000 for a complex piece of software. So those costs continue to go down because there are more countries where software development is becoming viable as a sort of trade skill. And the world is effectively flat with the internet. People can get software development skill sort of just by reading, and then they can provide their services globally. So we, Zibtek, as a company, have offices in 3 locations right now. We have folks here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I'm located, and we also have 2 offices in India, where we have folks in Pune and then also folks in Bangalore. So we're able to deliver our software development services globally, and we see a growing trend of greater interconnectivity throughout the world, and greater cohesion between these teams that are in disparate locations. And it's our business model operates quite fluidly. We have certain team members who start in the U.S. closer to 6 a.m. MST, so they have about a 6-hour overlap with some of the folks in our Indian office now who start their day a little bit later. So it's really like working with folks who are in the office, and we've built this sort of mesh so that we can really deliver high-value services for our clients.
What software programs needs to be built that he hasn't built yet?
I think there are a lot of applications that are around the sort of HR and time and team management that are still sort of coming out and coming to fruition. We talked about sort of that accounting software. We talked about the sales automation software, OnCourse CRM, OnCourse Sales Automation. But I think there's still plenty of room to be done in the HR space. There's still plenty of room to be done in the medical field. We do a lot of work in the medical and healthcare space, and I would say that some of the technologies that we work to improve are technologies that were built, or software that was built 5, 6, 7 years ago. And really, as I talked about kind of keeping up with the technology, these technologies have really kind of lagged behind in respect to really kind of the efficacy of what the tools do, how quick they move, the data integrity, and really the I guess kind of the value added component of the software. Most of the tools that we've sort of interacted with from the healthcare space have been very, very sort of bare bones. They don't offer any insight to the clinician or to the doctor, as a result of the sort of engine behind the program. And I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in those two arenas to really add value for patients, for doctors, and ultimately for those spaces.
Why do you think some of the software firms they are not really going forward with the healthcare industry? Do you think the healthcare industry is complex?
I think there's a great degree of complexity. So we as a company do a good amount of work in that sort of HIPAA compliant data space, and having the capabilities to deploy HIPAA compliant, that is, applications that really kind of maintain the integrity of that patient's data. It adds a degree of complexity. You need a bigger team, a more sophisticated team to deploy those types of applications. 2, I think the capital spending for healthcare is very much focused around the delivery of new treatments and drugs, and not necessarily in the software arena as much. And so you don't really have, based on our interactions so far with folks in the market, you don't really have folks who are taking the software development approaches into the healthcare arena. You really have the healthcare arena coming to software folks when they have sort of a problem that they think that could be solved with software, right? And so I think folks in the software development space really need to be proactive about taking their ideas to market, taking their ideas to service providers to say, hey, we think we can solve this complex problem for you with some core application development.
What grounds you?
I think my family is a tremendous lever, I think, in my life. You go home every day, you have the kids running around, and you're helping out with things, and you ultimately recognize that at a certain point of time, these kids are going to leave the house, and you're going to be older. So you really need to kind of pace yourself in life and enjoy the things that really matter. right? Really make sure you have your priorities straight to enjoy what you're not going to have forever.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
A tough question. One thing, maybe something I don't know about myself. I think probably that for some people, that I really enjoy business. I really enjoy the economic and technical nature of business. It's probably, they say that, people really like sports. I think my sport is business. And so, I don't kind of give that air off, but I really very much enjoy going to work and doing what I do.
Let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so we have been in business for 10 years, and we provide primarily custom software development solutions. So let's say one of those healthcare businesses comes to us and they have a problem that needed to be solved with statistical modeling. We had one client who came to us and they wanted to do post-op surveys to studies so that they could do prospective studies and gather statistical data on the success or failure of surgeries. And so we help devise a plan to build those applications. We take them all the way from sort of an architecture discussion into design, and then move them down into sort of a production environment where we are building the application with them, we're communicating daily, and we are really kind of ultimately going to ship the product for them in a very turnkey manner. And I would say projects like that, where we're starting from that sort of ideation stage and then moving to the design stage and then ultimately develop and maintenance stage, are our primary business. We help folks bring these new concepts to market. We help folks who may not have a software development skill set in-house bring their idea to life, and then also do it in a very quick and cost-effective manner. Our core business philosophy, and this is something that we sort of push throughout the entire company and talk about pretty openly with our clients, is that we're really, in contrast to a number of software firms, focused on solving the core business problem that our clients face with software. So we don't want to build team members a Ferrari as it relates to their software product. We want to build them a Toyota, something that you can put 300,000 miles on and you can go to the mechanic down the street and they're going to be able to fix. And our business has grown. We've grown about 20% per year for the last 10 years, and it's been very steady, very wonderful. We're accelerating growth. We're closer to about 30% growth this year. But we're also investing heavily to expand our capacity to deliver for our clients. So as I mentioned, that we had that second office in India. So that office actually opened middle of last year and is growing pretty considerably. And we think we're going to add another 20 or 30 employees there. In the company totally, we have about 250 employees. It varies a little bit just because we have various client projects. At any given time, we're working on 40 to 50 client projects that last anywhere from just a couple months to we've had projects that have been with us for 7 years that we're continuing to develop, support, and maintain. And we've had the opportunity to serve clients that are in sort of those three major segments. We have folks, of course, who are in that enterprise bucket, right? Adobe is a client of ours. We have NPM, the world's largest JavaScript repository, is a client of ours. So we have these large, sort of prestigious, very big clients, and then we also have mid-sized businesses in the United States that have very complex software problems that they need to solve. Maybe their team in-house is too busy, or they don't have the competency in-house. Those are a client where we really kind of build some pretty large solutions. And then we have startups and small businesses who have something that they want to bring to market that doesn't quite exist yet, or doesn't exist with, say, sort of their particular flavor of application. And that's where we're sort of playing more in the sort of bleeding edge, brand new concept. And so we're helping folks of companies of all sizes go from that stage of, hey, I have an idea and a concept. Let's build a technical plan around it. Let's design it, and then ultimately build it, and then sort of turn it over to them. And I think that our business is continuing to sort of sharpen the knife, so to speak, as it comes around each stage, so that we can deliver more value for our clients.
Where do we find you and how can we connect with you?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me directly via email at hello@zibtek.com, zibtek.com. You can reach out to us directly at Zibtek, zibtek.com.
So, Glenn, there will be more from Ian in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Ian's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part of Ian's journey or over 200 other journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Ian.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking the thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.